You are listening to the Music Mondays with MAZEMENT podcast. You can find this podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. For more information, go to musicmondayspodcast.com. In this episode, I'm going to go over a few of the latest news that stuck out to me. Nothing crazy. I'm also going to introduce you to a new artist on call with Keanu Domini, and then I'm going to close out this episode with an all-new released feast. It's a short episode, but don't hold your breath. Here it is. Welcome back to another episode of the Music Mondays with MAZEMENT podcast. I am your host, MAZEMENT, and as you can hear, I'm dealing with a little bit of a cold here, as expected. I mean, this pandemic is calming down in the New England area. I think countrywide it is, from what I'm hearing. But I've been going out more, enjoying myself. If you've been following me on social media, you would see that I actually caught a show from another artist on call, and it was actually the most recent artist on call. Skylar Love actually performed in New York, so I went and saw her, hung out with her and her crew. It was a lot of fun. For any of that footage or anything, check it out on my Facebook or on any of the socials. I think I shared it to every single one, but it was a lot of fun. If you're watching this on YouTube, here's a picture right here that I ended up taking or having taken of Skylar and I at the performance, but she did a great job. She's actually performing pretty steadily, a few festivals actually as well. So check those out on her socials as well. Other than that, pretty busy with the band, Corey Riemann and the Dilemma Band. They're actually I'm recording this episode actually on Friday before you hear this on Monday, because I'm actually going away this weekend. So if anything big happens in music and I don't mention it on here, that's why. But they're in Maryland this weekend, or as you're hearing this past weekend, they were in Maryland. So I hope if you were down in that area, you were able to see them. Otherwise, they are on the Sweet Summer Tour right now, which kicked off earlier this month. So make sure you catch one of those shows. You're going to hear cover songs as well as a lot of originals, and the band is really coming together and becoming something that we can't wait to take to the next level with marketing, branding, and music all around. And I can't wait till you hear what's going on. So going out and everything, people are probably like listening to my voice. They're probably like, oh yeah, he's got COVID or whatever. COVID. Everybody's got COVID when they have a cold. Some people do. I mean, still it's going around, obviously. But I did take a test, came back negative. So I'm good there. But what happened was I was in the studio with the band real late one night and woke up the next morning. I was running on like no sleep that whole week. So then when I woke up the next morning, I had like stuffy nose, little sore throat, dry throat. I was like, oh, whatever. It's probably just because I didn't have any sleep. Well, it turns out that there was a cold going around with a few people that I was hanging around with prior to the studio and everything. So it's going around. It's a cold. Everybody's got it right now. It's as expected. Just know, like, there's been a pandemic going on for the past 2 years. We've been wearing a mask. So when you're not wearing the mask, you're most likely going to be, vulnerable to getting a virus or something just because your immune system has to make up for it. Common sense. I mean, I don't need to explain this. But anyways, that's what's going on. That's what I'm dealing with. Obviously not recording anything myself right now, but mainly focusing on the label and getting everything together that way. But before we get into anything, here's a fact.
Music Mondays, music facts.
Producer, artist, whatever you want to call him, he's many things. Pharrell Williams' first group called the Neptunes produced Britney Spears' song Slave for You in 2001.
Music Mondays, music facts.
So usually I have 3 stories lined up. This month was kind of crazy. 2 stories stuck out to me. The 2 stories were actually sourced from Billboard, so it kind of makes it convenient. If you want to look up any of the information on these 2 things, you could go to billboard.com. But the first thing is that Billboard is introducing its first ever MusicCon. It is a 2-day event taking place in Las Vegas at their new entertainment venue called Area 15, and it is taking place on May 13th, a Friday the 13th, and Saturday, May 14th. There is said to be conversations on panels with Machine Gun Kelly, Burna Boy, Lotto, and more. I'm interested in this, but probably for next year. I mean, I would love to go this year, but I'm actually more curious to hear how it goes this year. But if you're in the Las Vegas area on May 13th and 14th, why not? Go check it out. Those panels actually seem pretty interesting that are going on there. The next story that stuck out to me, cliche to Billboard, is that Diddy will be hosting the 2022 Billboard Music Awards, airing on NBC Peacock on May 15th. So be sure to watch that. Thought that was interesting. Haven't really seen much of him besides like him judging on the one show or whatever. So I'm curious. I'm definitely going to check that out on May 15th. Otherwise, no big news that stuck out to me. If there is, and I forgot, I'm sorry. It's just dealing with a lot of exhaustion. I got to remember more. But either way, I do have a young and fun artist on call for you today. This artist has the ambition I love to hear in a young artist, starting out in their career, a competitive attitude in a genre that there's so much competition in hip hop. His name is Keanu Domini. He is from Corpus Christi, Texas. We're going to hear more about him and his story right here. And then we're going to close out today's episode with an all new release feast that you do not want to miss. Here it is, an all new artist on call.
Artist on call. Artist on call.
We are here with Keanu Domini from Corpus Christi, Texas. How are you doing, Keanu?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm great, man. It's it's still cold here in the Northeast. You're kind of lucky. You probably still got warm weather down there in Texas. Now, who are some of your influences growing up and stuff? Or even still, do you still have some of the same?
Yeah, I mean, growing up, my mom played a lot of like 80s pop. My dad played 80s rock. Saw 8 Mile when I was like 8 years old, and introduced me to hip hop. And then when I was like 14, that's when I really decided I wanted to be a rapper. I'm 19 now. And I don't know. I just I have a lot of influences in hip hop. It would be like the person who inspired me to really start rapping would probably be Logic. I was 14 and I was like painting a house with my dad in the summertime, and I was listening to like some early Logic on the come up when he was on the come up, and it's like a light bulb just went off in my head, and I was like, dude, I want to rap. Like, I don't know how I'm going to do it. All I know is that I'm going to do it. And that's like the only thing in my life that I didn't second guess, and I never looked back.
Well, it's kind of cool you mentioned Logic, because when I listen to your music, I don't really sense that. But now that you say that, I could see where you're going with your music. Like, I see what you're doing. You're taking different strategies, not necessarily that Logic had, but I could see the influence now, and you're blending it with like today's hip hop, which is really cool. Because I mean, out of any influence you could have, especially within the past decade, Logic would be one of the best ones. So I could easily agree with that 100%. What was it about Logic, or what is it about Logic that, you really attach yourself to?
I don't know. There's just a connection there. It's kind of hard to explain.
Like it's like relatable in a way, like the story wise and the flow wise, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, 100%. I'm the same way, dude. Same way. And when you started writing poetry, like what were some of the topics that sparked in your head to write poetry back then? Because that's how you started rapping, right? Was you started with poetry?
Yeah. I wrote poetry on the bus on the way to school. At first, it's like I would look out the window and I would kind of like just describe like what I was seeing. And then it went from that to like kind of tapping into my emotions. And then eventually it just ended up turning into rap over a few months. And yeah. That's
something I could relate on, dude. Like that's how I started too with rapping, was poetry. difference is, I mean, it could be a difference, could not be. Mine was all about relationships. Like I literally, like that was part of like my tradition back in high school. And like, obviously if like any girls that knew me in high school are listening to this are probably laughing their ass off right now because they most likely got a poem from me, you know, or read to them over the phone or something. They got a poem, you know, everybody had a freaking poem, and everybody had a poem until about a few years ago. And, you know, they disappeared. I don't know where the hell they went, but either way, like that's how I started. And it was like similar situation. And it was like the expression, and then it turned to rap. Now, did you find yourself writing poetry about like hardships or anything like that? Or was it just mainly like more on the artistic side, like green leaves and, you know, like, like what you're seeing?
Trees and blue skies.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I rapped about, I wrote about some hardships. I don't know, I guess growing up, I felt like I never really fit in, and it made me feel some type of way. And I kind of got bullied like growing up, so I would like write about that. I just kind of felt like there is something that always kind of like set me apart, meaning like I just felt like I couldn't like fit in with like anyone else. Like, I don't know how to explain it. I just felt like
Different.
Yeah, I just felt different. That's a good way to put it. And I guess I wrote about that.
It's such a cool thing though, because it's kind of like coming from like a relatable perspective. Like it's like almost like a superpower, you know, when you could write poetry to express yourself. It's like, dude, I could literally take anything on. I'm sure you felt the same way. Like come at me, you know, like break my heart, do whatever you got to do. I'm going to get out of it because I got this way to express myself that nobody else that I know, like friend wise, has, you know. Like, is that kind of how you felt, like different?
Yeah. So like, you couldn't have said it better. Stuff started happening to me. I kind of just took it as like inspiration that I could use for material, or just something that I could like jot down. Not that I wanted like bad stuff to happen, but like I kind of changed my perspective. Like, oh, this sucks, to like, hey, this could like, I could like turn this pain into something, and you know, that's what I did.
Now, what is it about 361 Function, your song, that caused such traction compared to the other releases you had?
So 361 Function, it's called 361 Function because my area code is 361.
Nice.
So 361 Function is an example of like me making music how I've never made it before. And on this latest project that I did, The Party, which is a name for the poetic album representing the youth, a lot of the songs are like they have that like party vibe and like just like smooth and like just like, I don't know, dope. And so I guess people were just messing with it and they liked it, and it kind of just like spread. And it's dope. I'll agree with them too. I liked it too. Whenever I was writing it, I didn't think it was going to be like
popular.
Yeah. I didn't think it was, but it ended up being that way, and pretty happy about it.
Right now, we're going to get into 361 Function by Keanu Domini. You can find him on all socials at Keanu Domini. That's KeaNuDomini. Find him on all the socials. Here is his song called 361 Function, and then we're going to get right back into it with Keanu right here.
Hey, shawty looking bad up in that sundress. Now she looking at me like she just wanna undress. I said bring it over here, don't be shy unless. She said I'm about it if you are, I'm like say less. At the function, I can't even function. Shorty in the bed, now she wanna sleep over. I said bring your friends, we can have a sleepover. I like conversation, maybe we can get closer, yeah. Said that she was out but now I see her coming back in. And she coming up to me, said she wanna tap in. So I said come here baby, we can make it happen. Hold up, don't stop, make it drop. Sundress on, yeah, make the that booty pop, let me fix the point of view, cause you know I like to watch. Down Julio, all up in my double cup. Going for a ride, take a seat, buckle up. Got my hands on the hips, and I know how to handle. I'm the big dog, and I'm taking on the mantle. You went down to ride, so why you on the saddle? Out here on the wave, you just barely start to paddle. Keep it on the low, we don't really like the title. Just show, no tell, I'm inside the hotel. They wanna get inside, but first I need the details. Like, is that your best friend? Where's the rest then? Hold up, wait a minute, let me get my best friend. Yeah, I know she gon' let me pipe down. Tryna light it up, but shorty made me put the pipe down. Said she feeling tense, I said we could talk about it. I talk body language, and now she ain't so tight now. I know you try to call, but I'm between her legs right now. Whoa, shorty looking bad up in that sundress. Now she looking at me like she just wanna undress. I said bring it over here, don't be shy unless. She said I'm about it if you are, I'm like say less. At the function, I can't even function. Shorty in the bed, now she wanna sleep over. I said bring your friends, we can have a sleepover. I like conversation, maybe we can get closer, yeah. Come and bring it in, turn around, drop it right back. Put that thing on me, yeah, you know I like it like that. She taking shots from her back in the liquor. She giving me the service, yeah, you know I had to tip her. I know that's a girl, but she wanted me to pick her. Feeling like the man, yeah, I feel like alfalfa. You a little rascal, but homie, I'm the alpha. It ain't that serious, it ain't so deep. In case you're curious, she's in my sheets. Don't even bother, dog, just let her be. She act friendly around you, but for me, she a freak. Lied to your face and said she was asleep, ayy. Started looking bad up in that sundress. Now she looking at me like she just wanna undress. I said bring it over here, don't be shy unless. She said I'm about it if you are, I'm like say less.
That was 361 Function by Keanu Domini. Find it everywhere. You could watch the video on YouTube or catch it on all major digital streaming platforms. That was dope, dude.
Thanks.
So tell me a little bit about that video. How did that get going?
So, man, that was a hassle. We initially were going to film it somewhere else. And, you know, we like scoped it out. I went and took like pictures and stuff, and I sent it to the videographer. Everything was like going to happen. And then literally like a week before we were going to film, owners of the property like canceled on us. And we're like that sucks. Cause like we had all these people involved, and like, we're like, what are we going to do? Well, back in 2020, I was doing this job. I was working construction. I wouldn't say construction. I was doing a driveway, but I had to pour concrete, tie rebar, do the whole thing. And I remember the neighbor who lived next to the people who were doing the house, who we were, you know, working on the house, people who lived next to them. I remember they had like a really nice backyard. And this was like 10 o'clock at night, dude. This was like 10 o'clock at night. And so I get in my car and I drive over there and I knock on their door. And I'm like, dude, I'm like full of doubt. I'm like, there's no way they're gonna let me like do this. And so the owner of the house, he opens the door. I explain the whole situation to him, and I'm like, please, like it would mean a lot if I could do this, like, please. And he was like, yeah, I mean, I don't see the problem with it. And once he said that, I was like, oh my God, thank God. And then so it was back on, but it's crazy how that happened. So yeah, that was someone's backyard. I mean,
That's so funny.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
Yeah, but it kind of goes to show like your perseverance as an artist. You're like, you know, that's kind of like, that's a ballsy move to like just show up on someone's doorstep and say, hey, can I use your backyard? But like, look how it paid off though. Like that video wouldn't have been that video. Like that looked like a professional video, you know, and it wouldn't have looked like that if you did it in like, you know, a back alley somewhere or something like that where anybody could get to.
It was a little scary on the way over there, but it was like now, so I chose now instead of never.
Right. Oh, seriously, dude. Now, you mentioned the album earlier, The Party, right? What inspired the acronym for The Party? Like you explained it earlier, but like what inspired the, you know, using an acronym and all that?
It was accidental. I was, so this was like October 2019, junior in high school, and I was in my physics. I was in my physics class, and I was still working on the first album. I was like nowhere near completing it though, but I was already thinking about the second one. And I knew I wanted to call it the party, but I knew I wanted it to be deeper than just the party. Like, I don't know. I just knew I wanted it to be deeper than it just being called the party. It's always deeper. Everything's always deeper than what it seems if you look long enough.
Absolutely.
And so I was like, what can I do? And then like I wrote out the words "the party," and then like it just like came to me. It didn't require much thought, and I feel like it was like from the universe. It was like giving me like what I needed. And I was like, the party, the poetic album representing the youth. And then that's when it like a light bulb just went off, and I was like, dude, that's dope.
Yeah.
And so yeah, so that was like in the back burner for like, I don't know, all the way up until like July, no, like August 2020. Yeah, like a little bit after like prime pandemic era, because I finished the first album. I finished the first album in July of 2020, and that was like a hassle itself, just that whole thing trying to like be released. But the second one, yeah, it took me like 9 months to complete it. It was really fun. It was great. I loved working on it. The direction that I took with it, the music, the vibes. It was just like, yeah, it was just amazing, like being able to work on that. And yeah.
And what's your direction like when you're writing and everything? Like I always ask, like when I write, I'm picturing the video in my head. Some people picture the live performance. Are you focused on live performances, or are you mainly focused on the visual as an artist and the audio as an artist?
When I write, I definitely do like a music video kind of in my head, and more that I'm able to picture that, like the more I have to like write, like it's like a flow. Like you get into this like concentration, and once you have it, you're like on it.
What's your biggest challenge, you think, as an artist? Like one thing that you struggle with the most?
Biggest challenge as an artist, I think, just finding new ways to keep the ideas fresh and not stay in one place too long. Because I feel like if you stay in one place too long looking for inspiration, you won't find anything there. So I think it's always good to remember to like find other ways to get inspired instead of just sticking to one certain thing.
Do you ever find yourself becoming like sentimental with some of the things you write, like where you're like, dude, I have to release this the right way, and then it turns out like these are actually ones that you hold on to and don't ever release, but you're like, I'll release them someday? Or is that not you? You kind of just push everything out?
No, yeah, there's probably like 2 songs that I have that I've never released just because like I like it. I don't know if
they're like your babies in a way. You're like protecting them.
yeah. I don't. Maybe I might release them someday. I don't know, but yeah.
Like for me as an artist, that's one thing I struggle with. Like I have like probably 20 tracks right now I could release. They're mixed, everything's ready to go, and it's been like that for the past 2 years, 3 years, something like that. And it's growing because what happens is I'm like, it's not where I want to be now, so I'm gonna wait until it's where I want to be now, and then I'll start releasing this stuff. On the bright side, as an artist, we're supposed to be banking up projects anyways. Is there any hip hop albums coming out anytime soon that like you can't wait to hear, or have you been out of the loop a little bit?
No, yeah, there's some albums coming out that I'm pretty psyched to hear. Jack Harlow's new album coming out May 6th. Come Home, the Kids Miss You. Kendrick Lamar is dropping another album in May.
That's it.
Logic is coming out.
That's it. You only had to say Kendrick Lamar. You know.
Okay. All right.
No, I'm kidding. So Logic, when's Logic coming out on?
He's supposed to be dropping in June. It's called Vinyl Days. But like, I'll be honest with you, bro. Like, I haven't been listening to like a lot of rap recently. Like, I've been listening to like such a plethora of like music, bro. It's like crazy. Like I said, I've been trying to like get inspiration like from anything and anywhere I can. Like I really like Doja Cat. I'll be straight up with you. I
No,
think
she's dope. Yeah.
Olivia Rodrigo, Megan Thee Stallion. Who else?
So like mainstream right now, right?
A little bit, yeah. But you know who Black Bear is?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, he's dope.
Oh yeah. No, and artists like him too, like people don't realize, like not even what you see, like behind the scenes too, he's talented. You know,
Oh
like
yeah.
the stuff he's doing behind boards and stuff. So it's like the other thing, what do you think it is about focusing on these and those sounds? Like, why do you think you're doing that? Is it because you're trying to blend different things into your own music, or you feel like you're going to be going a whole different direction yourself?
I think it's a little bit of both. For a little bit after I released the second project, I felt a little loss of like where to go in terms of like musical direction because I don't know, like I had so much fun doing this second project, and once it was done, it was kind of like, oh, what do I do now?
Yeah.
And yeah, like so more recently, I've just been like getting in tune with all of this different music, and it's been inspiring me in like so many ways. And I think the next direction that I'm going to go with for this third project is just going to be like something really different that I've never done before, and I'm excited to see where it takes me.
What about instruments? Do you play any instruments?
I used to play the guitar when I was younger, and it was like I used to play the acoustic, and like I got lessons and everything, and then I stopped. I never should have stopped, and I want to pick it back up again.
You should, because one thing I've learned is that artists that are multifaceted now have more of a shot of making it than the ones that don't. And not even that. I mean, it could be multifaceted, like behind the board, you could be great too as a producer, you know, so it could be that too. So it doesn't necessarily have to be guitar. But like when it comes down to that, speaking of which, do you have a lot of say behind the production of your songs, or are you kind of just searching for producers to, you know, make you beats and stuff like that?
So there's this one guy I work with. He's based out of Germany, and it's funny because whenever I was working on the second, literally like everything he gave me was like what I wanted. It's like he already knew without me telling him. So I didn't really need to say much. But more recently, I had been more vocal about like sharing, like, oh, well, maybe if we, you know, switch up the drum pattern here, like let's I'm kind of like using him as like I'm speaking my ideas through him, but he's like taking them, and it's like we're making it together. You know what I'm saying? We're making it together, and
You got that connection.
yeah. And it's really dope to have that. And I think if, you know, like if whoever may be watching this, if you're like a rapper or something, I think if, you know, if you don't, I think you should try and find that, you know what I'm saying? If you don't have that, or if you don't produce, or if you don't, I mean, if you do have a producer right now and you guys aren't on that level, I think you should try that, because like good things happen when you voice your opinions on, you know, kind of what you want.
And you can't force it either. Like the hardest part is like a lot of artists think that they have that and they don't, you know, and they think that they have that connection with somebody and they force it. And then you hear it in the music. You're like, no, that's not really. But like the thing is, when you do have it, it's rare. Like not all artists find that connection with a producer or another musician to collaborate on. So that's great that you did, especially this early on, you know, like you got a long career ahead of you. And like you're killing it already, and you have this connection already. Like this could go far in itself, you know. And just the fact that like you made this connection early, it's like who knows if you're gonna make the same type of connection with a producer in the future again. You know, you're probably gonna circle back and work with this dude. So that is impressive, you know, and that's great to hear. Like if there's producers in the industry right now, like which producers stand out to you the most? And when I say, you know, I really shouldn't say producers because they're beat makers. Beat makers and producers are two totally different people. But like, but yeah, beat makers, you know, and producers. I mean, a lot of them are producers.
Okay. For producing, I think Tyler the Creator is extraordinary because he's really in there like with the piano and like he's like piecing all this stuff together. I love him as an artist too. His evolution as an artist is great. So Tyler the Creator is also an inspiration. Beat makers, bro. I like Metro Boomin. I like Take Heath. I like Hit Boy. Oh, he's new. I can't remember his name. Jetson Made. Yeah, Jetson Made.
Mm-hmm.
I like those guys. They're like killing it right now. And I'm sure there's like a bunch of other people out there who I haven't named that I'm forgetting. Kanye West as a producer or beat maker.
Right.
I like his too.
But no, that's a dope list, dude. I mean, and like beats are like unlimited now. I'm so jealous now. Like if I started out now as an artist, like there's so many freaking beats out there now. Like there was a lot back then, but they weren't as easy to get as they are now. Like that's dope. So anything about Keanu Domini that people would be surprised to know that they don't already?
Can't drink regular milk. I'm allergic to dairy.
Dude, too many parallels here. Yeah, dude. Not even like lifelong. It just happened. It was just like within the past decade.
Same, bro. Like, happened
That's so crazy, dude. But anyways, man, I appreciate you coming on here. If you're looking for Keanu Domini anywhere, you can find him at Keanu Domini on all the socials. You can also find him on YouTube at Keanu Domini, and that's KeanuDomini. Thanks again for coming on, man.
Bet, for sure. No, thank you for having me.
As promised, here it is, an all-new release feast. Now, if you're a hip-hop fan, you're going to know right where I'm going with this release feast. Just this morning, midnight, recording this on Friday, Pusha T released his new album. It's Almost Dry. It's his 4th studio album released by Def Jam and Good Music. The whole album was produced with Kanye West and Pharrell and had features like Kid Cudi, Labyrinth, Lil Uzi Vert, No Malice, Pusha T's brother, and more. The album was dope. I listened to the whole thing today. I will be listening to it through the weekend, so by the time you hear this, I probably would have listened to it 5 times. My biggest debate is whether I want to compare it or make it compete with Daytona, because Daytona was his last album, and that album, like, I mean, I think this one of the songs on there was my song of the year. I don't know if it's up to Daytona's level yet, but I hope that it is, because I'm still in like kind of a high with it. Like it was so exciting listening to it today. There's some great songs on there. Like it was hard to narrow down like one song. Like I was like, oh yeah, that's my favorite song. Oh wait, no, this one's good. This one's good. So I was like, by the end of the day, I was like, this whole album's dope. I gotta listen to it more to narrow it down more accurately. But go check it out. It's on all the major digital streaming platforms. And that pretty much wraps up this episode. Made it a quick one. My voice is driving me nuts. My throat is drying up. I want to survive through this whole episode here. So next month, I have something very exciting in store. So stay tuned for more on that. We may not even be recording in this studio. So just know that something's in store for that coming up the last Monday of next month when the next episode airs. And there's more coming up throughout the rest of the year on this podcast that I can't wait for you to hear as well. But that's it to wrap up this episode. Thank you for tuning in, and be sure to follow me wherever you can on the socials at Music Mondays, or hit me up on the website at musicmondayspodcast.com. Thanks again, and until next episode.